It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
What's happening, everybody? It is showtime! Showtime! All right. You ain't Luther either. Don't start. What's happening, everybody? It's Wednesday. It is the Wednesday Hump Day edition of the Geno Jones Show. We do this show Monday through Friday, around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 if you're in Chicago or Houston or maybe Dallas Central Time, 3:30 out on the West Coast, out in Los Angeles or San Francisco or Portland or Seattle. My guest today, one of our regular contributors to the Geno Jones Show, Miss Keila Carson, will be joining me. She has already received her first COVID-19 vaccine, so we're going to get like a real life testimony from like a real life person, like really alive. She got the vaccine. She's alive. So we're going to dispel a whole lot of these myths and rumors that's out there. And also we'll have, Dr. Arnold will be joining us around the end of the month. Dr. Damon Arnold's been a guest twice. He's one of the top infectious disease and public health experts in America. He's a brother also. So I think it's important. I'm very intentional to let you know that, you know, we got some black versions of Dr. Fauci, and Dr. Damon Arnold is one. But today, we're going to talk to my girl, Key. President Biden was on TV last night. He did a town hall on CNN, and he talked about COVID-19 and his plans to, by the summer, he wants to have like 600 million vaccines available. Now, apparently, there's been a little setback with Johnson & Johnson. They were not able to get out as many vaccines as they wanted. You know, getting this vaccine getting it out is not an easy thing. You know, it ain't like, okay, let's go ahead, let's go and put some more chicken wings like in the oven and bake some more, fry some more chicken wings. No, it's complicated because it's a vaccine. And when you're trying to mass produce like millions of vaccine, still you got to be careful with what you're doing. So, as a matter of fact, without wasting any time, let me bring to the show, ladies and gentlemen, my guest. She is not a guest, she's a family. She is a regular contributor to the Geno Jones Show, repping the 313, the 248, the 847, and
586-734-810.
comma.
Yeah.
Keila Carson. Miss Carson,
Hi, Geno.
How are you?
I'm alive, as you mentioned in your intro. So I'm happy. I mean, I was a bit angst about the vaccine, as many people are.
I want you to drill down. I want you to just, like, you know, you in the hair salon and nail salon, you know, with your girls, and just tell everybody, just tell your story, what it was. And I think that's a great starting point, like you said, because there is apprehension. And,
Yeah.
and for black folks, we understand it. We understand that medicine, between medicine and the U.S. government, they have experimented on black women and men.
Tuskegee.
Yes, which was where
syphilis.
And a lot of people don't realize, Key, because Dr. Arnold, he cleared something up, because I was misinformed. For years, I thought that the government actually injected syphilis into those black men. They didn't. What they did.
No, that's not what happened.
Yeah, it was a study. He cleared it up. He said they basically worked with Tuskegee University, and they conducted a study to where they had black men who had contracted syphilis
and didn't
from
treat
wherever, and told them that they were giving some of them penicillin, and they were just giving them what they call a placebo, and they weren't treating it. And they wanted to see some of the doctors wanted to see if the body could somehow develop some type of natural immunity to syphilis, which is the stupidest damn thing I ever heard.
No.
So
that didn't work out.
Yeah, and you know, black women have been sterilized over the course of our history here in America. So we get it when it comes to black folks and being a little nervous about the Fed. Anything when you combine the government and the medical profession, Houston, no pun intended. No, please, no pun intended. And since I mentioned Houston, because my mother she sent me a little note. She said, send a prayer out to all the people, especially in Texas, Houston, Dallas, all throughout Texas, Little Rock, Memphis, that part of the country.
My
parts of
sister
Oklahoma.
is in Dallas.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
she's in Wiley, which is just a suburb of Dallas.
Okay.
So
All right.
she's been literally freezing for 3 days.
Yeah, no
Her and her
power.
husband.
No power, no
Yeah.
water. It's unbelievable. So let's lift him up in prayer. So, all right, Key, I'm sorry, but we were just trying to set the starting point and say, hey, listen, we get the apprehension. You were
Right.
apprehensive, Key, so go ahead and talk about it. Talk about your
Yeah,
experience.
I mean, listen, I consider myself well informed. I keep up with what's going on in the news, and specific to COVID, I've been paying attention to what the professionals have been saying. Yet, when it was time, I found myself. I mean, listen, I literally got up the morning of for my vaccine, which would have been last Friday. And I got ready to, get in the shower and stuff. And I said, let me turn on my Clark sisters.
No, you didn't, Key.
If you don't know,
Oh,
the
God.
Clark sisters are from Detroit. It's a famous gospel group if you need some reference there. But no, I mean, no joke, no, serious. I
Wow.
was in dressing myself, saying, God, give me a praying spirit and watch over me today as I go in to get this shot, because once you get it, you can't take it back.
So, Key, you said you had to summon the prayer warriors.
Yes, I did. And as a matter of fact, I have a sorority sister who is going back for her second shot next week. And I put her on my prayer calendar so that the morning before she goes, I'm praying for her, because we have that relationship with medicine, as being suspicious and not trusting totally. And also because of the lack of care, um, you know, um, in all these years, I mean, Black people of color, are the number one group of people dying because of COVID, right?
Three
And
times the
yes,
rate
three.
of white Americans. So for every one white person in America that dies of COVID-19, 3 black people die from COVID.
Right. And so that it's a funny juxtaposition. I'm looking at, why are my people dying like this? But yet I'm going to trust you to give me a shot. So it's that, psychology in your head, although we have to stop and we have to say no. The vaccine is here to help us all, but it's hard to get rid of those demons. And so I prayed with my Clark sisters and my gospel music on Friday morning, but best believe at 9:50 I was there at Walgreens getting my shot.
So,
And I'm here today.
So what was that experience like? What did it feel like when you got the shot?
Mhm.
Right after you got the shot, and now it's been almost a
Just
week,
a
right?
little less than a week.
Okay.
Um, Tomorrow or Friday will be a week.
Okay.
So the process, and you have to keep this in mind, I was there on the first real day of the Walgreens rollout in Michigan, because things are rolling out in different kind of ways depending on where you live.
And this
And
is near,
so
this is for those watching. You basically you were in suburban Detroit. When you where you
Yes,
or in the city
I
of
live in a
Detroit?
suburb outside of Detroit, which had nothing to do with why I got the vaccine. I got the vaccine because I'm an educator. So when I got there, a lot of corporate bigwigs from Walgreen or the Walgreen regional area were there because it was this big rollout day. And so they set it up as a clinic. Um, Now, they don't stop business coming into Walgreen, but they have someone set up there as soon as you walk in, and they're very specific about the time because they don't want too many people in the store. My local Walgreens only allows 39 people at a time. So you walk in, you say, "Hey, I'm here for my vaccine," and they have your name already on the list because you have to pre-register. So far, there are no vaccinations in the United States where you can just walk up and say, "Hit me, baby, one more time." You have to have an appointment. Okay. So don't go anywhere thinking you're just going to get the shot. So they sign my name, wipe my name off the list, and they say, head back to the pharmacy where you will get further instructions. You go back there. As you're coming, you can see people leaving. It's in, out, in, out. You get back there, you fill out a sheet that basically asks you about your medical history. Have you had this diabetes? Do you or ever have cancer? Those kind of questions.
Previous medical history.
That's right. For me, because I was pre-registered, all I needed to bring was my license and insurance card. Do not be afraid that they ask for your insurance. They do not charge your insurance. Anybody getting COVID in the United States of America, as far as I know, in the world, will not pay. Okay. So the government is paying. So they use your insurance card as a form of record keeping because you can't have people going in there getting 2 shots and, they got to find some way to house this, and it's easier through insurance if you have it. But if not, you will go in a central bank and you will still get your shot. So then once you fill that out, which, by the way, I'm only 5 minutes into this process right now, you hand a clipboard back to the attendant. She then takes you into the room at Walgreens where I was at. Nurse is there. She asks you which arm. You tell her which arm. She hits you. It feels much like a flu shot in terms of intensity in the arm. She gives you your card so that you have a vaccination record, tells you that they will call you back in a couple of weeks, gives you information about COVID and what some of the reaction or side effects of the shot may be. And then you sit for 15 minutes and then they say bye-bye. And that's the end of it.
And they have you to sit for 15 minutes to make sure that you don't have a severe reaction.
Right.
Now,
the most common so far has, and I shouldn't say most common, Geno, because it's only happened a few times. Like I can count on my hand, I think 4 times I've heard. The most severe reaction that someone has had in that group of 4 has been allergic.
yeah, anaphylaxis.
Yes.
Anaphylaxis. Dr.
Yes.
Dr. Arnold talked about that, where it's,
Yes.
you have a reaction. I believe you get fluid in your lungs, so it can, and that can be pretty severe.
And so it's much like you can have swelling of the lip, of the tongue, of the throat, like a person who's allergic to bee
Peanuts.
sting.
Yeah.
Or peanuts, right. So they want to make sure you don't have any kind of reaction like that. But if you do, they're prepared to hit it.
Yeah,
and
they got the EpiPen and
that's right. And then, you can still go home and you will be fine.
So what were the side effects like for you personally?
For me, the only side effect I had was at the injection point, I had a little bump.
Okay.
Just a little teeny bump. I didn't even have as much soreness as I normally do with my flu shot, but I was, after maybe a couple of hours, I went to sleep and I thought I was going to take a quick nap. and it turned out to be like 4 or 5 hours.
So
So
you took
I got a good sleep.
you took a longer nap.
Right.
You didn't need
So
it. You didn't need any
thank goodness I
melatonin.
didn't. You're right. Melatonin. Right. Actually, it was better than melatonin. This, yeah, I was out. Like when I woke up, I thought, oh, that was a nice, half hour, and I was like, oh, what time is it? So I just got a good sleep, and luckily I didn't plan anything um, because I didn't know how I would react to the shot. So I made sure that day I cleared my calendar so that I could be home and weather the storm. Now, what I've been hearing from friends and sorority sisters, other educators who have had the shot, is that their reaction has been in the second shot.
I've heard the same thing. Yes.
Yeah, but
Right.
still mild.
Right.
Um, at one of my doctor's offices, um, I walked in one day, all but two of the staff was there. And this is a place that's bustling, right? And all the staff had their second COVID shot the day before. When I got there, they said everybody's out sick, and I said, "Oh, is everybody okay?" And they said, "Oh, no, 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 everybody's fine. It's a take a Tylenol kind of thing. You might feel symptoms like a flu, but it's 24 hours, and
Yeah.
most people are back at it."
Yeah, maybe a mild fever, some
Yep.
mild
Yep.
body aches, nothing severe, like you said. And that's not in everybody, but in some
Right.
people
Right.
with that second. Because now, to be accurate, you told me you got the Pfizer vaccine, correct?
Yes, I
So,
got Pfizer.
so did my mother. So she got
Yes.
hers 2 weeks ago. As a matter of fact, a week from in another 8 days, she goes
Okay, she'll
back.
be second.
Because for
Okay.
Pfizer, you guys is 21 days apart.
21.
And
And for Moderna, I think it's 28.
right. And let's talk about Moderna because we talked about the hesitancy, but let's keep in mind the woman, it was a woman, the woman who developed the
Mhm.
Moderna vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine, is a black
Mhm.
woman
Yes.
from the
Yeah.
Carolinas.
Yes.
So,
And I mean,
Dr. Corbett, Kismikia, they call
make
her
sure
Kizzy.
she goes down in the history books.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And there are lots of researchers who are involved in this process, but she was the lead. So
On the Moderna vaccine,
God
yes.
bless her. God
Absolutely.
bless her. And
Absolutely.
and you know what I heard her say? I heard her say that this is a cumulative effort because people, as they should, were praising her and saying, what an awesome thing you've done. And she said, I don't want you to think that I did this starting in March when the greater public became aware of COVID-19 and its effects. She said, this work has been going on for years.
Yes.
She said, it's just that by the time March of 2020 hit, they were at a place and awareness and then had the financial support
Yes.
that they could kick in and take it across the finish line. Because for those who don't understand COVID, that's why this is COVID-19, because there's a COVID-18, there's a COVID, this is not new.
COVID is short. For those who don't know, COVID means coronavirus. That's the
Right. It's a
coronavirus.
coronavirus.
So also what you need to understand for those who don't know, that the common cold, yes, the common cold that we've been getting all of our lives is in the coronavirus family.
Right.
Uh,
That's why when you look on the back of your Lysol can, and you can go get one right now, or any generic disinfectant, you will see on the back of it coronavirus because it's not new. We've
this
been fighting viruses and the mutation of viruses for as long as we have had modern medicine.
and which is what's happening now. Now you're getting
Yes.
mutations or variants, not a full
Yes.
mutation, but a variant, which is
Yep.
a slight mutation
Right.
off the main COVID-19 coronavirus. You have the UK variant, which is
Mhm.
spreading here in America, which, according to all experts, is more contagious and potentially more deadly, which is another reason why we need to be careful. Now, I want to backtrack, Key, because
Okay.
you said something that was really important. I think you and I talked about it off camera yesterday. You said that when you were apprehensive, you put on your Clark sisters and you prayed.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, listen, we love our pastors and our preachers and our ministers, but we just got to call it what it is. There have been a lot of church leaders in all faiths, in the black community, Christian community, the Muslim community, that have been saying, don't get the vaccine and, God will protect you and the whole 9 yards. Listen, this virus does not give a damn about your ideology. It didn't give a damn about your religion. It doesn't care about your pastor, your preacher, or your minister. This is not religion. This virus operates on science.
And the science says that we currently have 7 variants. Okay. They've already identified that the South African variant, the vaccine does seem to take care of that. But you got 6 other variants, including the one you mentioned from
the UK, United Kingdom.
That's right. United Kingdom, that, they're testing, but we don't know, which means potentially this could get worse if we're not getting the vaccinations and masking and washing and protecting ourselves. So when you have your leaders in the church, which I've been very interested in for the past 24 hours because Henry Louis Gates Jr. has his PBS special on, it was yesterday and today, it'll be on again, about the Black church.
I gotta watch. I heard it's great. I gotta watch it.
It is awesome. And one of the things they talk about is the influence the Black church has had over its flock since and we'll start at slavery because that's where our history starts in America. But of recent years, something has gone amok, astray. And you do have leaders out there telling their congregations, God will fix it. And listen, I am a Christian. I don't feel any shame about saying that. I believe in God and I believe in miracles. But what if the miracle is that God gave that doctor and the researchers the mind to invent this or create the vaccine?
Or the miracle could have been that God put it on somebody's heart to go ahead and put the money up and say, listen, okay, Pfizer, Moderna, we understand you all are profit-based, but we know that the technology, because Dr. Arnold mentioned it, as a matter of fact, Dr. Arnold, he was one of the researchers, I believe, that worked on developing and worked on the H1N1 virus in terms of research on that virus when it came out. So this mRNA technology that they used to produce the vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine, this technology, that specific technology working on coronaviruses like SARS and MERS that came out about 10 years ago, they've been working on this for 20 years.
Yes.
So here's the truth. So, I'm giving up the ghost. The ghost is there's a lot of technology for a lot of cures for a lot of diseases that exist. But see, that the problem is that, to paraphrase, and I don't want to ruin Chris Rock's joke, but I got to give it to him. So, the money is not in the cure. The money, how you make your money is in the comeback.
That's right.
If we cure you, we can't make no money off you.
That's right.
But if we can go ahead and give you just the right dose to keep you alive, then we can keep you coming back.
Right. I.e. the flu shot. I have to get a flu shot every year. So the money to whatever company, I never even ask what company I get my flu shot from. I just go and get it. But that company continues to make money every year because I have to get the flu shot. So, I mean, we don't want to get bogged down at this point in the politics of
or the
the,
ideology.
or the ideology, because Black people are dying at 3 times the rate of others in this country. And so the vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID. You can still get COVID full blown with the vaccine. Let's be clear. What you're trying to avoid and what the vaccine does is to help keep you from suffering the side effects that could, not side effects, the effects that could potentially kill you.
Yeah, and look, Key, let me say this. Now, this is, I remember when Dr. Arnold was talking. So, like with the vaccine you got, Pfizer and Moderna. So all the data
Right.
that they know now
Right.
says that it, when you hear the numbers 95%, 94%, 80%
Efficacy.
of efficacy, will keep you from getting a severe case or
Right.
dying.
Right. Right.
So,
I mean, the
right.
difference in gasping for air, and because that's how most people are dying, that they're not getting enough oxygen to the body, they can't breathe. And then other things start to systematically, body parts start to
Shut
fail.
down. And it primarily is a respiratory virus, but it's a little
Right.
different because it attacks different parts of your body. I mean,
Right.
people have had, you know, kidneys have been affected, livers, people's hearts have been affected, their vascular systems have been affected, shutting down. So but you know, primarily it's when you hear people going on a ventilator, it's a respiratory virus.
Yes.
That's what
And
it is.
for instance, our former police chief, Benny Napoleon, here in Detroit, Michigan,
Yeah.
he died. He was beloved. And one of the things that he suffered with was his heart was working so hard because he could not breathe.
Wow.
And think about that. Like when you're working out, imagine that your heart rate may be double that. You know,
Wow.
and that's too much. And so that's what the vaccine is for, to help prevent the severeness of the illness should you get it.
Wow. Yeah. So listen, guys. Like we said, this is science. You know, it's not about one's religion or one's ideology. You can believe what you want to believe, but this virus didn't believe in none of that. It didn't know about any of that. It didn't care about any of that. It is an organism, and it does what any other living organism wants to do. It wants to survive. It wants to live just like we want to stay alive. This
That's right.
virus wants to stay alive. And how
You
does
know,
it stay alive? I was just saying, I'll wrap up here. How it stays alive is it finds a new human host to infect and replicate.
so Geno, let me ask you a question. Because it's a sensitive issue when you talk about the church and how it's advising its flock, congregation, however you refer to it. What are your thoughts about the responsibility or lack thereof when it comes to our church leaders and COVID?
You're right. I can only, I will use myself.
Yes, tough.
I'll put
tough.
myself in a position of if I was the leader of some type of congregation. At the end of the day, I believe it's your job, if you're in any position of responsibility, especially if you are leading a church, because you're supposed to be a representative of God. So at the end of the day, I would think your number one job would be to do no harm. You want to protect, you want to help, you want to spiritually uplift, and you want to teach the word, but your number one job, Key, seems like it would be to do no harm. If you can't, even if you can't preach, if you can't sing, you can't quote scripture, at least don't do no damn harm.
Well,
Can you do?
I was, Gino, I'm with you because I was shocked at the number of churches that opened up,
Yeah,
after the
initially.
first wave.
But what happened right after that? Pastors were dying.
Yep.
You
Yes.
had all the mothers of the churches and the deacons.
Yeah.
They were dying, and they were like, "Oh, whoa, wait a minute, hold
We
on."
just, we just lost Price
Yes,
because of
yes,
COVID. I
yes.
mean, and so I think some would argue God keeps sending the message to the highest, meaning the leaders are dying.
Yeah, that's a
No
good
longer
point.
is it just your flock, it's you. When will you listen?
That's a good point, Key. That's a
And
very
when
good
you
point.
have 3 times the amount of people that come to your congregation that are at risk, I'm not
Yeah,
I'm not getting
yeah.
that message. And it hurts my soul to know that I don't know.
Well,
It hurts my soul.
I'm glad you asked me that question, Key, and I really hope that's just the message. Like I said, who am I to tell a pastor, a preacher, or a minister how to minister or how to preach to their congregation? But I will say this: I will stand on this. Okay. Now, I'm not a theologian. I don't have a master's in theology, but I got common sense. And I was brought up in a Christian church, and my mother's a praying mother still. And,
Yes.
she could be leading a congregation. That's a whole nother conversation because they talked about the sexism and the patriarchy and misogyny in the black church. And that's not just the black church, it's all churches in that PBS documentary. I did hear that, but
Yeah.
I digress. I don't want to sidetrack. In any position of leadership, so be it we could take the church out of it, any position, as a leader in your community, as a leader in your house, as a leader on your job, if you are the CEO, the what at least this should be the lowest standard. The least thing that you should do is no harm. If you can't do anything else, if you are totally incompetent in every other area, at least do no harm to other people when you are responsible for people's well-being. Please do no harm. But when
No,
you,
I've
go
had
ahead.
people who were Jehovah Witnesses call me and say, "Oh no, as soon as our number comes up, we're getting that shot," and I was shocked.
Yeah,
I was shocked.
Keith, listen,
But this is serious.
listen, people. Look, I know people who were active in their church, like you said, leaders, church leaders. You just talked about it. Reverend Price, nationally
Mhm,
renowned pastor, died.
mhm.
So COVID didn't care about this man being the leader of a church, an iconic member of the black faith community. COVID didn't give a damn. I know
Nope.
people who are very active in their church, good praying people, and people prayed for them, and prayer warriors and everything, and it didn't save their life.
Nope.
So if you could, whatever you can do, if you can do anything to stay out of harm's way and to protect yourself and your family, that's why I do shows and I do episodes like this, is to get your vaccine. Because as soon as I'm available, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be one of the validators here in the Carolinas, and I'm going to do it on camera. We'll videotape it. I'm trying to get it set up, Key, where I'll videotape it and I'll play it back on my show, so
Oh,
you guys get to see it.
awesome.
And now look, you need to understand something, everybody. My mother's watching. She's laughing because she knows what I'm about to say. She probably hadn't heard the story in a while, but she'll remember when I hear it. I am more afraid. There's one thing I'm afraid of in this world, and it's not even a gun.
She's
It's a needle. It is a needle. You could pull a gun on me. And we
Please
scrapping.
don't.
But needles, no, Key, no. I know my mother is watching and laughing. She's like, Key, Geno, since he was a little boy. She'll tell you the story about I don't know, 3, 4, 5, and I got vaccinated. The nurse tried to give me some kind of vaccination or something, and my mother, I got left in the room, and my mother went in the room, and my mother said she heard me screaming and said, "Get away from me!" Blah, blah, blah. And my mother ran in. "What you do to my son, my baby?" I don't know. It's something. No. So when this year, because my doctor said, "Yeah, G, I'm gonna need you because of COVID. I'm gonna need you to get that flu vaccine." I took myself to Publix supermarket, a couple miles from the house. I was so proud of myself when I got the flu shot. I called Damaris, my mother, Allie, and Boogie. They'll tell you, I swear, you would think I just won the Super Bowl or the NBA championship. I was so proud of myself. I say, Mother, I said, you won't believe guess what I just did? I said, I went and got my flu shot all by myself. So if my ass can get any kind of shot, ain't nobody on the planet that's more afraid of needles than me.
Geno, keep talking. My alarm, this is real life, y'all, live. My alarm has said, Keila, help us. So let me find out.
Okay.
Make sure I don't need a gun.
Check on your alarm. As a matter of fact, we're getting ready to wrap up the show, but I want to thank Keila for coming on. She got her vaccine, and I wanted her to give her testimony. So I wanted to get, and I'm very intentional. You notice that Dr. Arnold, African American doctor, and I wanted to get Keila on. Here it is a black woman, intelligent, successful, accomplished, and I wanted her to tell her story about getting this vaccine because it's important, and we can't stress this number enough, that Black Americans are dying at 3 times the rate that white Americans are. And I'm gonna let you know one little secret in the world, especially for my black folks here in America and around the world, because I witnessed this with my own eyes. Some of these same white folks that you hear talking about they not gonna get the shot and anti-vaxxers, a lot of them they're getting these shots, because I witnessed it. There's a medical university hospital here in the Carolinas where I'm at in Charleston, and I thought I was going to be able to get a vaccine because Damaris got an email, so we went to the portal. I went to the portal. I should have known because I never got a confirmation email back. But anyway, I went in, and there was only 2 black people. It was myself, and it was a black woman who worked behind the desk. And she recognized me. She said, "Oh yeah, Geno, you're not." First of all, I wasn't old enough, but I looked around, Key, and there were no other black people, none. 2, it was her and myself. And I've heard the same thing. I got a couple of buddies in Chicago, said the same thing, and that's a whole nother conversation. So the bottom line is, if all these white folks, especially the ones that's got means, i.e., that's got money and access and a degree of privilege, and they happen to know somebody, they work at that, they are not hesitating getting these vaccines. Okay? So I'm just saying, tell you something. They're not dying at 3 times the rate. I guarantee you, if white people, Key, not to cut you off, I'm sorry. If white Americans were dying at 3 times the rate that black folks were, man, listen. Key.
No, they'd be drinking the vaccine.
Listen, they would be storming. Pfizer's got headquarters up there in Michigan where you are. Instead of storming the Capitol in Lansing, they would be storming Pfizer, talking about, y'all, somebody gonna have to give me a shot. They would be storming these pharmaceutical companies.
Absolutely. So we have to be informed, and then we have to act. The vaccine is a call to duty. It is your duty to go online, watch the news, and keep track with what is going on in your state. And then down to, this is how specific it gets, Geno. It's not just your state, it's your county, your city. Because everything is not the same. You can't just watch CNN to find out what's happening in South Carolina. You may have to turn on your local news or look at your local newspaper to find out daily what is happening.
Or
So
it's even
go ahead.
more, let me say this, it's even more micro-targeted
Yes.
than that. It gets down to the zip code.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys do in Michigan because you guys actually have a really competent governor. So that's a
Yeah.
whole nother story.
So listen, you can go,
Oh,
you have to know the rules of your state, first of all.
thank you.
But even within those rules, there are caveats. For instance, in the city of Detroit, I, if you live in the city of Detroit, work in the city of Detroit, have a parent or a loved one that you have to take care of in the city of Detroit, work in the grocery store, the restaurant, you can get vaccinated in the city of Detroit. Now you come to Keela's town, unless Keela works in Detroit, because I live outside of the city, or Keela is taking care of a parent and she can't, risk getting COVID and passing it to her parent or loved one, then I don't qualify under those rules. I qualified under education. But then you go to the next state over, they say, well, teachers, they're not a part of our first one. So and I think, I don't want to tell anybody how to do their job, Mr. President, because I don't know the complexity of what you deal with. I don't know what's really going on behind the scenes, but we have got to get it together so that people know where to go to get a shot. You will not believe what I had to go through for my qualification as a teacher. Even still, you have to find a place. Are you in that zip code, like you mentioned? Are you in that city? Do you teach this versus that? So there are lots of things that you got to weed through, but you got to do your due diligence, because trust me, nobody is advocating for you like you when it comes to this vaccine. So don't lay down and wait for President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris to come knocking on your door saying, okay, Tyrone, it's time for your vaccine. That's not going to happen.
Now, what they
You
have,
got to do homework.
what they are doing now, what they have done, I heard Biden talking about President Biden last night, and it's something I've been advocating, is that they're going to be, I don't know the timeline, is that they have contracted out or purchased mobile units. The example I gave was the Red Cross. The Red Cross, when they have mobile blood drives where you see the big RV, it'll go to different neighborhoods and you can go right up and you can donate blood. I said they need to turn these vans, mobile buses, and RVs into mobile vaccination centers. So apparently they're going to do that. Now, here's the problem. So I'm going to get on my soapbox one last time, Key, and I know you got to run. I'll let you give us some closing remarks. The problem when it comes to educators, and I did, to President Biden's credit and Vice President Kamala Harris this morning on Savannah Guthrie. I love Savannah, but she got a little pushy this morning. I was like, okay, Savannah, I get it.
A lot of them are pushing on this topic, but continue.
Yeah, I understand the whole aggressive journalist, but damn, okay? Because here's the deal. And President Biden said it last night. And this is what people don't understand, Key. This goes to what you're saying in terms of knowing what's happening in your state. The federal government, the president, when it comes to this vaccine, cannot mandate it without Congress. So we can't even get the rest of this money. We can't get this $1,400 yet. So can you imagine what it's like? People don't even want to wear masks. So can you imagine that people's heads would explode if you told them it was mandatory that they had to get a vaccine? So they set the guidelines. The CDC sets the guidelines, but it is each individual state. That's why it's called federalism. That means that states get to decide how they want to govern and what state laws they want to pass. You in Michigan, you have a competent governor. Here where I'm at in South Carolina, we'll just keep moving on for that. You know, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say nothing at all, my mother says. So I'm just going to keep it moving on that. So it depends on the state that you live in. But I will say this, there is no reason why teachers should not have been at the front of the line with doctors and healthcare workers. Absolutely no reason. And President Biden did say that teachers, educators need to be wherever the front of the line is. Like right now, they need to be in the front of the line.
Yeah, and so the problem, the first problem, Geno, is that the CDC does not say that teachers necessarily should be at the front of the line, because the CDC, they're a room full of scientists, and what they look at are numbers, and they say, oh, well, the teacher and the student, they're not necessarily giving it to each other like we thought. And so that there's no evidence thus far to say that that relationship is risking more people's lives. And so because the CDC is saying that, it puts Biden in a bind in terms of his messaging, but he is saying, I know the CDC says this, but I, as your president, am saying, I think you should move teachers to the front of the line. Wink, wink, Mr. Governor. Wink, wink, Mrs. Governor. Wink, wink. You know what I'm saying? Because you can make your own state guidelines for how this rolls out. Wink, wink.
Yeah, well, that's what they've done. That's what they have done. I mean,
because Gretchen Whitmer, our governor, did it here in Michigan. So the governors can move the teachers to the front of the line, which is what the president and vice president have been trying to say for the last few hours today. They're like, yes, we recommend that teachers get. And so I'm like, why are we, are you having trouble seeing my wink? I mean,
I'm not even winking anymore. I'm like, my eyes is like bucked, like
right. The big eye emoji.
Right.
It's like, are we not getting this? This could be settled. Every governor just go to your guidelines and put the teachers on there and cut the crap.
It should have happened, Key. I've been on this rampage. I get it. I got a daughter that's 19 in college, okay? But so last year when COVID hit, she was a senior in high school, no prom, this huge fashion show. They put on a Paris, Milan, New York City style fashion show. I emceed it for 1 year, and I was going to MC it. It's fabulous. All of that it was thrown out the window.
Wow.
Graduation, everything. I get it. But how can you ask these teachers? Because everybody that's saying, so I'm a parent. I get it.
Yeah.
Trust me and the mayor's, we get it.
Yeah.
The mayor's working from the house still. And then another job, working at Whole Foods. So we get it. But how in the world can you ask teachers to put their life on the line without being protected? They got families.
Yeah.
They have daughters and sons. They have spouses. They have grandchildren. Why do we ask them? If you wouldn't do it to you, you wouldn't put yourself on the line. You wouldn't let a loved one do it. You'd be like, no, hell no.
And Geno, it really starts to peel back the layers of the onion when you talk about the schools, because the teachers don't want to go back in the school until they get vaccinated. So let's say, okay, we got to go back without the vaccination. Okay, well, are you going to fix the ventilation system? Are we going to clear up the issue with how many students can be in a room at one point.
Thank you.
So the governors and even our federal government have failed our schools for so long.
Yeah, absolutely.
That now it's created this larger problem. So when you ignore the ventilation system, when your windows don't open because they've been painted shut for 45 years, all of these things matter now because of COVID. Because do you know that I keep a window cracked when I'm in the house, just a little bit of crack, because that helps save your life because it keeps the air circulating. These schools can't even crack a window in some cases. So, it's unmasked some bigger problems that the schools have been dealing with, and the teachers have been saying these things are problems.
For decades.
Right, for decades. And here it is. So maybe we could go back to school if you hadn't painted the windows shut, if you had ventilation in here, if we had the things that would help protect us, if we had smaller classrooms and you had more teachers.
But even with that, Key, I have to go back to this, there's no reason. When you said the doctors and first, we call it first responders. When you say
Right.
doctors and first responders, so that means police officers, firefighters, EMS workers, paramedics. Yes, they absolutely should be the first ones. But there is no way that teachers should not have been in that first group in every state, period, point blank, full stop, end the conversation. There was no reason for it.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree. I mean, it's all the first responders that you named, teachers, and your seniors.
Yes.
Over 65.
Yes, especially with pre-existing conditions. Yes, absolutely.
Right. It's like a no-brainer.
Right. Like, what do we do? Well, and we kind of know because of the incompetency that happened up until January 20th. So we're not even going back there. But that should have happened. But I blame these governors because, to your point, we'll close out here. In your state, Governor Gretchen Whitmer got it. She made sure that educators were in the front of the line. Here in South Carolina,
You know what? And I'm not laughing at. I mean, it's like laugh to keep from crying.
I know it is. You have to keep.
But the good news. Well, let's say it's hopeful news. We got 14 million people so far, Geno, vaccinated. And we got 11% of our population at one shot. So they're waiting for the next. But 14 million are complete. So we got that, right?
Out of 330 million. Hey,
right.
Listen.
And although, and I know I hate that you mentioned that bigger number, because it seems like a drop in a bucket. But
let me frame it. Let me frame it this way. Let me kind of put some topping on this sandwich here. We've only had competent federal government. We only had a competent federal government for 4 weeks.
Right. That's right. We're in the first month.
So out of that 14 million, probably 10 to 12 million happened.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm just, I'm saying, be hopeful, people. Do your homework, as Geno mentioned. And we're both saying you have to advocate for yourself. Find out what's going on in your community and how you can get your shot. You may have to get on a list. You may have to get on 4 lists. Don't worry about that. Get on them. And then when they call you, you can say, oh, no, give it to someone else because I got mine yesterday or what have you. But whenever it opens up to your group, you be diligent and get on a list. Pay attention to your CVS's and your Walgreens, these national chains, your Meijer, if you have a Meijer in your area. I don't know, Geno, Publix may be on the list in your area soon. It may not be right
Hopefully.
away, but
Yeah.
whatever your
They got Walgreens and CVS
part,
here
okay,
too.
yeah. So whatever the big chain stores are, keep watching because they will be rolling out. It just may not be today,
And
but
Walmart.
maybe and Walmart, yes, Walmart,
President Biden said that they
yes,
worked out a deal with Walmart
yes.
pharmacies. Yeah.
Your local health department. So whatever county you live in, every
Mm-hmm.
county kind of has a health department.
Mm-hmm.
You want to stay in connection with them and you just keep looking until you find it. I am praying that it won't be so hard for people,
Yeah.
but until that time, we got to do what we got to do.
Right, right. And if you got, of course, and most people, I'm sure we don't even have to say this, Key, but if you got elderly parents or aunts, uncles, or neighbors, you might have to advocate for them because a lot of them
Yeah.
they don't have the internet, they don't
Right.
have like they don't have a cell phone, they don't have a smartphone. Hell, they may still have a flip phone, okay?
Right. Or if you have a neighbor, not even
Right.
parent, if you have a
Yeah.
neighbor
Good
that
point.
nobody comes to their house every week. You
Right.
go knock on Mr. or Mrs. Jones's door and say, "Have you got your vaccine shot?
Right. Hey,
Let me
Key,
help you."
she still got the rotary phone. She
Right.
still got.
Right. Let me help you. And please be an advocate for people who cannot help themselves. Like Geno said, they may not have a computer. A lot of this stuff is being done online, and you most definitely, in a lot of places, have to have an appointment. And I certainly don't want any senior, if they can avoid it, standing in some, first come, first serve line.
Hell, Key, with these seniors is on a fixed income, they can barely afford medicine,
Right.
let alone
Right.
the internet.
Right.
Internet.
No, absolutely.
Heck, they can barely afford. They splitting pills. They can't even afford
Absolutely.
their medicine.
So you advocate for any senior in your as a matter of fact, I asked both of my aunts who they don't need me for anything. They were up watching Queen Sugar last night. But I still called my aunts who are both over 65 and said, what are we doing with the COVID situation? And one of them live in Illinois, Geno, and I'm calling her. She like, well, what you gonna do for? I said I can get you some information. But they were both fine. So, but I'm saying, please reach out to your elderly community or those individuals once they open it up who are not terminally ill, who have illnesses, diabetes, cancer, what have you, heart disease, and help them because they may not have the wherewithal to go through this because it is a process.
Yeah, it's a bit much. It's always a great job, Miss Keela Carson, our regular contributor here. She is a versatile, a woman of many skills, social, political, and now we're gonna make you medical. We have to put medical on that same educator.
No.
She said no. That's all right, Keith. So hey, listen, we're gonna bring you back when you get the second shot. When you get
Okay.
the second vaccine, we're gonna talk about that. We'll probably talk to you before then. So thank you. Thanks again for joining the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Keela Carson. Give it up for Miss Keela Carson. That's my people right there. Hey, listen, thank you for letting me be a part of your life as always. God bless each and every one of you, God. Most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Show Monday through Friday, unless it's a holiday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the Geno Jones Variety Show. It is a daily, it is a live, I do it live, that's right, in real time, variety show right here on my YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I got a goal of 10,000 new subscribers by June. Help a brother out. Speaking of helping a brother out, if you'd like to be a sponsor of my channel or this show, I would love to have you as a sponsor of the Geno Jones Show. If you'd like to advertise, I'd be honored to have you advertise. If you need a pitch man, I'm the king. The king is my man, to paraphrase from my man Don D.C. Curry, Chicago native, repping the ATL. The king! He said when the scene out of what was it? One of the Friday movies when he won the lottery and moved out there to the suburbs. He said, "I'm the king, not the king. I'm the king." So I'm the king of pitchman. Holla at your boy. You can reach me right here. Leave me a message on my YouTube channel, or you can email me, Geno Jones Show. That's how you spell Geno, with a G and an E. Geno Jones Show at Gmail. Shout out to Markel Bailey, my hairstylist and barber. KLB Cuttin, KELBECUTTIN, B Cuttin. KLB Cuttin on Instagram, the official wardrobe consultant, the official stylist for the Geno Jones Show is Mr. Bruce Gage out of Chicago. Check him out on Instagram, Bruce Gage, Gage, Bruce Gage. Also check out Flyball Store. He's one of the officially licensed vendors to carry the Negro Baseball League, the old league, Satchel Paige, where Hank Aaron first came into baseball before he went to the major leagues. He was an 18-year-old black kid playing in the Negro Baseball League. So you can check him out right there. Check him out. It's flyballthestore.com. Flyballthestore.com. All right, Mother, I love you. I know you enjoyed the episode. I know you enjoyed Keela. She'll say, "Be sure to tell Keela I said hi." So, Mother, she told me, she said to wave at you. All right. Thank you, everybody. Tomorrow, a brand new episode, Thursday, brand new episode of the Geno Jones Daily Variety Show. Until then, I love you. I really do. Thank you. God bless you. All right. We'll see you next time.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.